Okay. So today on episode 3 of T-Sided CSGO podcast, we've got a jam-packed show today. It is May 30th for another hour. June is right around the corner, and we have a brand new operation to tackle. But today's topic, since we already covered the operation last time, we're going to move on, cover some more news, and then hopefully next week or so we'll be able to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty about what the operations actually brought to the table. But this week, we've got a great show lined up. We got some pro news regarding player swaps and possible coaching switches. And the big news of the week, which is actually last week, because I wrote this a little towards the end of last week, involves more ESEA controversy and the debate over hitboxes. So, just to give you guys a good feel for how everything's been progressing this week, I've actually been really busy setting up a lot of show stuff. We have a brand new Twitter account at twitter.com/tsided-show, or just at tsided-show. We have Facebook set up, facebook.com/tsided-show, as well as a new YouTube channel, which I will be uploading these videos to its own channel instead of mine, since everything was on my personal channel. The other big development is that we will be going, as of this episode, once I get everything settled on audio and we get the website figured out, I'll be posting all of these episodes to iTunes, Stitcher, and as per the Reddit thread, I promised them that I would do it on Player FM, and I'm gonna go through with it. Hopefully they'll be seeing that at some point. You know what I really should have done? I should have moved the notification bar for followers down below the part where it says live feed on the, because it sits there and it just says live feed and I can't see anybody that's there. Alright, so now that that's moved, we're going to move in to today's pro news that we're going to be tackling. The big story this week revolves around Olofmeister from Fnatic. He's going in for ear surgery, and apparently they're going to have to find someone else to replace him for 2 whole weeks. This could go one of 2 ways. They could either have, you know, a pretty lay low, chill kind of 2 weeks, not really pressure so much, or they could just explode or flop. But I think they're going to play it pretty chill. To think that he's been playing the way he has lately, like he's been playing pretty well lately. To think that he's been playing like that with like pretty much a blown out eardrum, like he had no hearing in his right ear at all, and this guy's been just trucking along for at least 2 weeks. That's pretty impressive. And I think it's going to be a testament to the team as to how well they can handle themselves without him, as well as seeing what he brings to the table as far as cohesion and his performance individually. The next big topic, which is literally breaking news, I just saw this today. Devilwalk, the coach for Fnatic, is leaving. Mainly because I think he's got the itch to play. He wants back. So he's actually one of the few people to win a major as both a coach and a player. So that's pretty impressive. To have that kind of skill set and to turn around and just be able to want to come back. I mean, granted, he has been their sub for most instances where excuse me. In most of the instances where they've had to have a player step down to do things like DDoSing, he has stepped up to the plate and been a major player for them as far as things have been going. They say the rumor mill currently is that his replacement is going to be Thuggo. I'm Sorry if I'm butchering that terribly. But, you know, he's got some history with the team. He was their analyst at one point. So, you can't really... Like, they do know him, they understand how he thinks. So hopefully, moving him to a coach position, or reacquiring him to be the coach, is going to be something that can be worked with. And I think, like, there's a lot of change going on for Fnatic right now. Like, this is big. Like, when you go one right after another. You know what I mean? It's a lot of... It's definitely a lot of things to consider. The other big pro story for this week revolves around a good amount of controversy coming out of the RGN Pro Series round of 8. In the match between Mortality eSports and Ace Gaming, Mortality appeared to be getting DDoSed midway through the event. They were on map 2 on Mirage, going into their CT side. They looked like Ace had their backs against the wall. Ace was looking to close out the game as terrorist when one of their players just drops due to DDoS. My video is ahead of my voice. That probably has a decent amount to do... Oh, you know what? It's probably that silly... There's a beta thing on Twitch that lets you... It lets you, like, reduce your lag because I'm not actually playing a game. I'm just sitting here doing a podcast. But, there might be a bug with that. So, anyway, back to the story of... Mortality eSports, CT side, Mirage, Game 2. The way that this seems to go down is that the one player sick gets DDoSed. They have a second player step in for him. I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head. The step in sticks around. A second player on the team, Paul Newman, he drops. So at this point, they're down to their like 7th man. But huzzah! Sick can come back into the game. Sick walks back into the game. He's got $16,000. He's fully loaded. He is jacked to the and as soon as they can buy anything, M4s start raining down from the heavens. And the entire team is now decked out fully in guns, armor, and nades. They proceed to get pretty much their asses handed to them that round. Which is an important note. They lost that round handily. But they decided to wait, quote-unquote, wait for the issue to kind of resolve itself before they wanted to continue. If you watch the game, during that pause, like where they're making sure that Sick's connection is good, that's exactly when he starts just chucking guns at people. So, everybody thought that round was going to be an eco, but it turned into a full buy, where they still got 5K'd. So, they continue a couple more rounds, and Sick gets DDoSed again, quote-unquote. But guess who's back? Paul Newman. And now he's got over $10,000. And proceeds to appear as though he took those 3 or 4 rounds and learned how to use an op. Because now he's chucking guns to his teammates, opping, and he's getting 3Ks, 4Ks even. He's just completely ripping Ace Gaming apart. And the judge, or they won that game handily. The official ruling, however, that came down from the RGN officials was that as a result of the conduct displayed by Mortality eSports in and out of game, they have been disqualified as a roster from participating in the NA event. As far as what this does for NACS, it definitely puts more of a shadow on it. I can't begin to understand how people just keep doing like all this stuff. Like, you're trying to legitimize the region as competitive, and everywhere you turn, teams are abusing bugs, they're outright getting VAC banned by cheating, they're throwing games, they're doing all this stuff that's really not professional. Every time you turn around, somebody's either talking trash, or they're going upside someone else's head, and they're just completely wrecking themselves as far as being seen as a professional gamer. It's not that difficult to be professional in the face of an audience. Whereas, now, this is something that transcends CS as it affects all esports, where, as a region, Europe's very serious. They're very down to earth about everything. They want to win. And yeah, while it may be more lucrative in America, the argument has been made that many pros who are in Europe stay in Europe because it's better to try and get that win, because that win will give you more recognition than the extra bit of salary you would have made as an NA player. The other big thing about NA is I've always seen NA as a group of players rather than a group of teams. There seems to be this kind of hero worship and this overall sense of, I'm an amazing player. Whereas you don't really hear a lot of that personality and that confidence. People have been comparing this scene at times to WWE, like storylines, and it really rings true to me about the notion of NA teams and the players just being such outrageous personalities. Like, the whole bit with Steel getting banned from Twitch because of, like, that whole last hurrah thing, or the notion of it not being, like, if you read Mortality's responses, they're like, well, we shouldn't have gotten disqualified, we didn't even win that round. But, you know, you're not denying that you did it. And you're saying you got DDoSed and that Ace cried about it, but at the end of the day, if it was a DDoS, they knew that something had gone horribly wrong. Because they were buying guns as fast as they physically could. And they even asked Ace to hold on a moment so they could finish the buys and make sure the connection was stable. Where, yeah, okay, they lost that round. But then they did it again. They bought out the team using money that was obtained by AFK players. No player, with the exception of the first substitute when Sick first dropped, no player on that roster left the game with less money, or with more money than the replacement came in with. Sick had about 16 to 2,000 when he left the game, and, you know, when you come in as a sub, you only start with 800. So, that's understandable. But Paul Newman leaves with like 2-3 grand. So Sick comes in with 16k, buys out the team, leaves again with like 3k. Paul Newman comes back, he's got over 10,000. So there is a definite warping of the economy on their side, obviously. And for them to just outright either say, you know, it's not our fault, we got DDoS, blah, blah, blah. They could have... I mean, there's server admins on the server. Like, there are people... You can do that in the console. You can edit certain things to kind of, like, reset things to where they were. And it's a live event that they're... Like, it's being recorded. You'd think that they would have detailed stats and everything. Like, the stats that GoTV keeps are kind of insane. They're like money over rounds, money over kills, like who made what, what's going on here. There were methods for them to be able to fix it. And it just didn't happen. And regardless of how those rounds went down, it's, at least in my opinion, it's still on Mortality as a team and the players individually to make sure that the game state isn't being irrevocably damaged by something that more or less is a bug. Like, I can't think of a better way to put it, because the way it works is that it never really, like, it keeps track of you as a player in the server throughout all the rounds, even if you're not actively playing. So that's where you come in, you exit the game, and then you come back and you have mass amounts of money because you're being kept track of, and you're losing rounds and you're winning rounds, and the money's getting tallied up. So with that, we're going to move on to the big news stories this week. The first of which is the issue that we've been all dealing with for a couple weeks now, where hitboxes on ladders and such aren't lining up properly, and everyone knows it. There's even a video, a rather hilarious video, of Adrian actually sitting there playing a round of Train where he's literally just looking at all the CTs and they can't do anything to him. He's just invincible because the stupid ladder hitbox. It doesn't line up properly when climbing ladders. It doesn't line up properly when planting the bomb. It's you can't control these awkward shifts with, like, the server's not quite recognizing where people are. Even if you're not standing still, it's counting your, like, a player's head is somewhere, like, in the midsection area when they're sitting on a ladder. That's a huge issue. Now, I do believe that Valve is aware of the issue. I'm not sure how actively they're working to fix it, but I couldn't think of a worse time for this to happen with the introduction of Train into the competitive map pool. To have this bug just kind of chilling. And, like, Train's got more ladders in it than any other map I can think of. And I'm even counting, like, previous operation maps and things like that. Train just has a hell of a lot of ladders. And for this bug to exist to kind of give you, like, free vision over and above all the railroad cars, that takes a lot of the strategic elements out of the map that were intended. Like, those bomb sites are huge. To be able to survey the bomb site, like, more or less at a glance by using a ladder and being invincible while you do it is a game-breaking problem. And it's seriously something that needs to be worked on if more players are to accept Train as part of the map pool. I don't think many people are going to be actively looking to play competitive Train, at least once they realize that the bug's an issue. They're not going to be itching to play Train anytime soon. I just can't see it. I'm definitely not excited for a match if somebody queues up on Train. Like, I'm just like, guys, can we not do this? It really isn't helping. The other issue. I should just name it This Week in ESEA for this segment. I really should. What's up? This Week in ESEA. I'm not sure if any of you saw the video relating to ESEA's client. For those of you playing at home, luckily, I have a parody video.
I'm ESEA.
Whoa, sorry about that. There's a parody video that apparently sparked a whole firestorm. So, I don't have, ESEA took down all copies of this video. You have to trust me on the video's content. Where ESEA talks about their client. And they're like, we're ESEA, this is our client. In much the same vein as I'm a Mac, I'm a PC. Those old Apple commercials. But they go, we're ESEA and this is our client. And it shows a guy doing backflips and a bunch of gymnastic maneuvers. And then someone else steps on screen and goes, and we're every other client. And shock and awe, a mentally disabled person comes out. Down syndrome. Right there. Right on camera. Smiles, waves. And then he proceeds to talk about how much, he's sold out and how intrusive the client is and how that's not really an issue and all the blah, blah, blah. The rest of the video is not important. The major firestorm got sparked because of the presence of the kid with Down syndrome. The creator of the video, Ben Roser, had since released a video stating, the person with Downs is my brother. I didn't really see much of an issue with this. He wanted to be in the video. I put him in where it made sense. And I believe the quote he said was something to the effect of, I could have gotten a fat-looking derpy guy, but my brother was there and it made sense. Now, say what you will about the answer that he gave and what this means for his video. Well, somebody posted a parody of the video, which I will link for those playing at home. Because this is one of my favorite things. I had to get a Daily Motion link for this video because everything has been blacklisted on YouTube. Pretty much. I can't understand what has been going on exactly with the video since then, but the parody video that I linked in the chat had been taken down on the YouTube link that he posted because Ben, once again, the guy that created the original video that started this whole thing, put a copyright claim on it. Now, copyright claims are one thing. Considering the fact that the guy uses about 3 seconds of Ben's actual footage in what is clearly a parody of ESEA, he's not using the video for promoting his own client. There is no chance in which the audience can be confused as to whose client he is actually promoting, because he's not promoting one. And the reference to the original content is solely there for anecdotal and comedy purposes. Which, to be fair, I can understand being upset. Look, he took the video down because of the social shitstorm it created. However, whether that gives you the right then to attempt copyright takedowns and try to use that as a method of censoring the content now that it's leaked. Whoa. What the hell? I'm so sorry, guys. That was awkward. But to censor the content based on a copyright claim is very disingenuous, and it's not helping his case. It's definitely putting him at a disadvantage because now he's got to deal with all of this. And it's only making ESEA look worse because they have put the smackdown, more or less, on every attempt to satirize or reference the content. They've started doing all kinds of mass takedowns. And what it's doing is, I mean, yes, they're getting it off, but they're seriously not doing themselves any favors. Especially with the shitstorm created by the Always Online update. And the previous update, I know it's been 2 years now since the whole Bitcoin mining thing. But when you're dealing with a corporation, I'm not talking about your friend. I'm not talking about your family member. I'm talking about a for-profit corporation that has such abysmal PR that their statement to any criticism is a suicidal equivalent to "come at me, bro," whereby they challenge the user base to do something about their shitty behavior instead of acknowledging that they've made mistakes. And yet, many people are still subscribed to ESEA simply because the pugging on Civo Free is shit. Or some such excuse as to why I'm not doing anything actively with my money. The community has made these men very rich by being an active subscriber. And throughout the last 2 years, they have done nothing but show contempt for that position and their user base. To have the Always Online update, which forced players to miss, I think JW, I believe, actually had to miss the ESEA match because the client screwed his computer up so badly they had to have Devilwalk step in. That's pretty bad. Your major client update's screwing your league. But there's that, and then right on the heels of it, the first thing they do publicly after announcing, like, after dealing with this update and having a major uproar in the community, they release a video comparing everyone else to kids with Downs. That's not the right way to go about it, I don't think. In fact, I know that's not the correct way to handle the situation. That's the worst way you could possibly deal with bad PR like that, is to just exacerbate the issue. But with that said, they're going to continue to screw us over, and they're going to continue to not give a crap until people just step up. Like, personally, I've been trying to improve my game, and I've been looking for ways to actively improve. And I've heard people acknowledge many times that, you know, these clients, ESEA, Civo, Face It, they're where you want to go to be more competitive in the game. Now, what they're actually doing as far as their PR, I don't know. But I will tell you this much. The competitive player base will only go where everyone else is. You go to a place because of the competition. You stay away from other places because there's no competition. So that's not a legitimate excuse as to why people are sitting there talking about, oh well, I would totally jump ship to CEVO, but they don't have any competitive people. Then go to CEVO, subscribe, become the competitive people. That's all there is to it. I guess the real point of this episode is for people to just stop pussyfooting around. Stop making excuses. You want to do something in the community? Do it. Just have at it.
Back to your podcast, sir.
She's being distracting. She's totally being distracting.
I was adjusting myself, thank you very much.
In English, distracting. So today, for today's MM tip, to bring us full circle about improvement, we're going to talk about using some maps in the workshop to help improve aspects of your game. The two that I'm going to focus on today are improving your aim through an aim training map, which I will link in the chat. Screw you, Google. Stupid's like, oh, install the Try app. So link number 1 for the chat, which is our aim training map. That's my personal favorite. It's got a ton of test settings. It's got a ton of different modes you can deal with. You can practice on any gun at one of 4 ranges. And it gives you a lot of flexibility in how you want to train your aim and your reflexes. This is also a really good map to use when you are working on working up your matchmaking skill for when you're getting ready. By the way, big shout out to the Animal Friends Forever Rescue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who provided us with this lovely, cute specimen. His name is Hero, and he will be going up for adoption. He's approximately 4 weeks old, and he is a lovely brown furry kitty. He's quite the adventurous one, too.
Oh, thank you.
So, we'll take Hero back. Our matchmaking tip from 2 weeks ago. Oh, well, last week. Episode 1. Episode 1's matchmaking tip about warming up in deathmatch. If you're finding the plebes in deathmatch to be a bit too much to handle, I would highly recommend doing the exercises on this map. They can help you set up the time frame for each shot, so that way you can kind of practice flicking or just get your steady your aim. It's a very flexible map, and I highly recommend using it. The second map for this week is the Recoil Master. This gives you a way of practicing your spray control in a very controlled fashion by using the various presets to allow you to follow a ghost pattern as you unload a clip. This ties back to our matchmaking tip from episode 2, where we talk about memorizing a gun spray pattern and using that to maybe make up for snap judgment at certain times. You know, there's panic flick. Just spray the guy down. The Recoil Master map will definitely help you do that, and it will provide you where your cursor should be. It gives you a little target reticule. It lets you know how many hits you got. It's a very solid resource for helping to figure these things out. And with that, we are approaching the close of tonight's show. We will be... I think there's another cat coming out, or no? Nope, okay. Only cat. So, with that, I would like to open the floor if anybody has any questions. And we can use this opportunity to check the chat. Which, ooh, that reminds me. Congratulations. I think that allows me to, what? Okay. That works. So yeah, if we have no questions, I would just like to take a moment then to remind everybody that you can email in questions to the show now. The email that we have is tsidedshow@gmail.com. Once again, that is tsidedshow@gmail.com for any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions. Once again, you can find us on Twitter @tsided_show. We have our own YouTube channel that I will be posting this to soon, called T-Sided. And check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/tsided_show. I believe I have plugged everything sufficiently. And with that bombshell, it has been a lovely evening. Thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you in game. And the kitten.